How are you guys doing, though? Soon. Yes, soon indeed. Everything is fine? I hope it is. I'm very curious. Welcome. Welcome to the world of Higurashi Chapter 8, Matsuribayashi. In this world, you will be able to recreate the story from Hanyu's point of view. Your objective is to create the June 1983 ideal to you. You will need to collect many different fragments to make that possible. However, Takano's conviction is very strong. To overturn it, you will need a lot of effort and a lot of fragments. I'll warn you right now, it'll be a slow and painful process. Hanyu went through it for over 100 years, and she even had to stop and give in to fate. Defeating Takano's conviction will not be easy. The trial in this world will put you through as much pain as Hanyu had to endure. You may surrender just like Hanyu did after being emotionally worn down by the constant repetition of the worlds woven by countless fragments. When you feel like surrendering, you can end this game at any time. But if you do, the worlds revolving around your friend's fate will be limited to Onikakushi through Minagoroshi. By forgetting about this world and uninstalling this product, you will finally accept death. Just like Rika did. Your ideal June 1983 can be created by putting together 50 fragments that are scattered all over this world. To connect these fragments together, you will need the right ones. There are 50 of them, which may be dizzying. However, this world isn't that merciless. To ease your pain, there will be a little help for you. When you choose the wrong pieces, your only ally here will give you a sign that it's not yet time to put those fragments together. As long as the sign remains, you won't be able to connect them. You might as well go look for different ones. 50, yeah, I know, it's crazy. After you put other fragments together, you might be able to connect the ones that you couldn't put together earlier. When that happens, she'll let you know. Let's put those fragments together. Then you'll be able to join the other ones too. When you connect all 50, they'll become one big fragment. There, you'll find your ideal June 1983. That's when the long-awaited Matsuribayashi will begin. Before you peek at each fragment, why don't you line up all 50 of them first? Most of them require other fragments, so there are only a few that you can actually look at. Let's try to find those first. To see the conditions for connecting fragments, just point the cursor at them. Before anything else, let's find the ones you can look at without any conditions. This will be an extremely long and difficult trial. Let me tell you again, Hanyu challenged this for over 100 years and gave up on it. If you believe in miracles in the same way your friends do, even if you don't live in the world that they live, if you believe in them. Welcome. Welcome to the world of Higurashi Chapter 8, Matsuribayashi. In this world, you'll be tested to see if you believe in the world that Rika and the others believed in. A miracle only happens when everyone combines their strength. The June 1983 created by Takano is nearly indomitable. She's gathered many people whose powers are beyond the average person to her side, her backers being at the center of national authority. Even if 100 dice all rolled ones, there wouldn't even be a chance to defeat her. Well, guess what, Hanyu? We're gonna beat this in just a few weeks. True! Built different. Trust. In other words, a miracle is the only way forward. A miracle happens only when everyone combines their strength, and you are one of them. Are you ready? I'm more than ready. The key to a long journey is not to pressure yourself too hard. Well, let's take it at a light pace. I'll work while drinking my usual wine. Shall we begin? We have all the time in this world. Okay, interesting. It's like actually different gameplay now, question mark. You have obtained new fragments. Oh, connecting fragments. Okay. Satoko Hojo's detailed test result is required. Kyosuke Uria's decision is required. The discontinuation of Satoko Hojo's dissection plan is required. Dissection plan! Kyosuke Uria's motive to become a doctor is required. The third year's curse of Oyashiro-sama is required. The L5 stage patient's dissection is required. A queen carrier must be willing to participate. I'm excited for this, me too! A live specimen for research is required. A tragedy at the dam construction site is required. The death of a construction site manager is required. The hospitalization of Satoko Hojo is required. Rika's father being marked as an opportunist is required. Rika's mother's suspicion is required. The death of Satoko Hojo's aunt. Gosh. Okay, this fragment is required first. Okay, so we have this. Dam construction operation withdrawal. Queen carrier must be willing to participate. Results of the research are required. Truth about the Shidokawa Park incident. The researcher needs to have hit his first snag. Instructions for the kidnapping operation of the minister's grandson are required. Repetitive apologies are required. Satoshi Hojo's sister must refuse his visit at the clinic. Satoshi Hojo's sense of responsibility as a big brother is required. Execution order for the third year's curse. Declaration of war from Ooishi. A bat to... Ooh, okay. So we could look at this one. Kyosuke Irie's reminiscence. Okay, Kyosuke Irie. We have this. Okay. Prior consent for the collection of cerebrospinal fluid. Death of Koizumi Sensei. Completion of the medicine. Rika Furute's high fever. Jiro Tomitake's slight fever. Okay, and we have Tomitake. The death of the dam construction site manager. Bottle of wine for a toast. Jiro Tomitake's promise. The draft of an emergency manual. Okay, we have a local explanatory meeting. Rika and Satoko's shopping trip. The Shinto priest contacting the Irie institution. Rock candy as a treat. And Satoko Hojo's detailed test result. Conflict between the Hojo family and the Sorozaki family. The self-introduction of Satoko Hojo. We have Satoshi. Satoshi Hojo's part-time job. Footsteps. Satoshi Hojo's awareness of sins and forgiveness of Reina Ryugu's sins. Interesting. Okay. Ryugu family's move, the fourth year's curse. Ryugu family's move, watermelon. Watermelon, okay. Satoshi Hojo's awareness of his sins, the mysterious death of the Furute couple. The tea set on the veranda being put away, and Ichiro Mayabara inspecting a vacant lot. Red capsule. Strawberry milk candy. We have Satoko. The conflict between the Hojo family and the Sonozaki family. Oh. Revenge of Mio Takano Keiichi Mayabara changing schools. A raw sea urchin and vitamin A. Whoop. A big teddy bear's required. She needs moral support. Oh? The game board must be set up. The game board must be set up. Fragment from Onikakushi chapter. Game board must be set up. Fragment from Watanagashi. Game board must be set up. Oh. Okay. Okay. So we have... We have dam construction operation withdrawal. And we have EDA. Oh, I can just look at them. I see, okay. Group physical exams are very meaningful for our research. Although it's only for certain age groups, we can examine many of the Hinamizawa residents at the same time. It's a perfect cover for our research center. Also, because of several arrangements, we have a monopoly on the villagers' corpses and can perform autopsies on them too. There certainly wasn't an environment this rich in opportunity for those in the medical field. Our follow-up on the work of the late Dr. Takano is going smoothly. The amount of data he compiled is absolutely astounding. He truly was an incredible researcher. Excuse me, Director. Oh, Takano-san. Thanks for your work. We just received the rest of the test results from Tokyo. Here they are. Thank you. It's getting interesting, isn't it? I'm glad we can share this joy. Takano-san is my assistant, who was sent from the Self-Defense Force. But she's far from the image I have of an SDF officer. She's just like our research is being concealed. Maybe her identity is concealed too. I'm sure her name is an alias as well. I'm just a doctor and a researcher. Without Takano-san's support, it would be impossible for me to manage this institution. She's a pipeline to our clients in Tokyo, my assistant, as well as a researcher who is an expert on Hinamizawa syndrome. Her existence is absolutely necessary here. The more I think about it, the more I feel this should have been the Takano Institute rather than the Irie Institute, and she should have been the director. But that was explained to me when they asked me to take this position. My client wanted a civilian to manage this place. They searched for a person who met their requirements, and there I was. I became the director. I have a feeling I'm just a puppet on their strings. But I won't just sit here and do nothing. I was asked to research a rare disease. I am a researcher, so of course I'm excited about that. My client's goals might be different, but I'm here out of the desire to unravel the mysteries of Hinamizawa syndrome and be the first person to uncover a new mystery for mankind. We have all this data that suggests the existence of a parasite as the cause of the syndrome, yet we still can't find factual evidence of the culprit microbe itself. That's true. I thought we'd find it easily if we used an electron microscope. Viruses are too small to see with a regular microscope, so the invention of the electron microscope was a dramatic advancement in the world of medicine. However, it's very expensive, and there's no way for a normal doctor to acquire one. The late Dr. Takano said an electron microscope could find the cause of the disease, but it seems that his theory has been proven wrong. Even Takano-san was hoping an electron microscope would find it. She was disappointed when she didn't uncover anything after all the autopsies she performed. Our research seems to be having its first snag. It has actually stalled our work for several weeks now. So we need to think about where to go from here. Which means they're either smaller than microscopic, or maybe there's something wrong with the specimen itself. What do you mean? For example, as you know, wild mice have tons of fleas on them, but you can't find fleas on dead mice. That's because when the mouse dies, their habitat dies as well. So if the host dies, the parasite's worlds will end too. That's right. Just like you won't find a living human in a post-apocalyptic world. Therefore, we just have to look into the Earth before it ends, right? That's true. However, we need to think about human rights. It's hard to look into a brain while the patient is still alive. Examining a living human's brain, no matter how you sugarcoat it, that bore very grave meaning. From a medical standpoint, it's necessary, but we have rules and morals in this world, and we have to advance medicine within such boundaries. There was a time when I was studying lobotomies for the betterment of mankind. I don't think I was wrong. However, could I ever be forgiven under our ideas of ethics? I don't know. One day, my judgment will be handed down by the devil. Whether I'm guilty or not, I have to accept it. As I reflected upon my past, I heard a voice. It was Takano-san's. It was very clear and simple, yet it struck me with surprise. Understood. Let me prepare a world on the verge of death. What? Startled. Sometimes the phrase advancing medicine bore the whisper of the devil, tempting us to accept sacrifices. I heard that devil whisper. It's not that difficult. The last lobotomy was performed in 1967. How old is he? He's supposed to be young. Maybe he was doing it in secret? I don't know. I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be, like, young, though. So I would assume he can't be much older than 30. I just have to find a Hinamizoan resident who's about to die, that's all. Actually, this is before 1983. So, even if we say it's like, I don't know. If Rika's like 3, right? That would be minus 8 years. So it'd be like 70... 75? Math is hard. I don't know, he could... No, that doesn't make sense. I don't know. That's weird. But even if they're about to die, who would be brave enough to provide their body for research while still alive? Don't worry about that. If they're dying anyway, we're just going to put them to sleep a little sooner. On paper, of course. The patient would be legally declared dead, even though they're still alive. And we'd perform an autopsy while they're still alive. That's impossible. Besides, if we perform neurological surgery, we have to do a circular incision on the cranial area. Their family will notice the marks for sure. That's where we come in. I'll have the mountain dogs look for a patient in a local hospital that matches our needs immediately. All you have to do is wait with a knife and fork in your hands. What's he gonna do with the fork? I'll bring you a meal right away. If he was 25 in current time, he would have been born in 58, so he was doing lobotomies at age 9. That's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. It's... Mio Takano-san is my partner. There's no question about that. But I just can't trust her. It's her extremities as a researcher which contrast largely with mine. But are we so different? I'm here simply waiting with a knife and fork in my hands, just as she told me to. I just don't want to witness such a gruesome scene, that's all. What she's preparing for me now is exactly what I want. Who's the hypocrite? Not her. It's me. How can I say that I'm different, knowing what I've done in the past? I performed lobotomies without the patient's consent, despite it being surgery that might affect their life forever. How is that different from what she's doing? I've never doubted my past achievements. However, when I look at her, I start to feel unease. Takano-san is talking to Okonogi-san on the intercom in my office. I'm sure she's telling him to come over so she can explain to him what was just discussed. I'm simply watching without stopping her. Begin to reflect upon my past, to remember why I chose to become a doctor. I cannot with this lobotomy thing. The author 100% just picked some surgery that was popular back in the day and did no further research. Oof. Okay. Media's background. Oh, we can look now. Okay, nice. I've wanted to become a doctor ever since I was little. Doctors make a lot of money. People look up to doctors. I think those are the kinds of reasons I had. So when I played with my friends, I always acted like a doctor. I cleaned their wounds and applied ice packs when my friends sprained their ankles, using what I learned from household medicine books. Thank you for the hydrate and stretch. Everyone, including me, believed that I'd be a doctor one day. My family was poor, so they praised me for that goal. They told me that I needed to study a lot to become a doctor, so they borrowed some pseudo-medical books from the local library for me. The rental fees weren't cheap, so I would speed read one book in a day, and the next day, my parents would go back to the store to exchange it for a different book, saying that they accidentally borrowed a book that they already borrowed before. By doing so, my parents borrowed 2 books for the price of 1. Of course, now I know those books were rather useless, but they were highly motivational just the same. My neighbors called me Dr. Kyosuke-kun, and I was always picked for class health officer at school. Even my teachers helped me with the classes I needed to take to become a doctor. Of course, in reality, becoming a doctor isn't as easy as it might seem. I had to study diligently, and the path was most definitely rough. To become a doctor, one must attend college. Since my family was poor, I was told I wasn't allowed to go to an expensive private school, so I had to be admitted to a national public university. My grades weren't bad, but the admission rate to national public universities is very marginal. Especially since I wanted to go to a medical school, my chances were even smaller. I never heard anyone say it was easy to become a doctor, for real. I studied like crazy. My only driving force was my childhood dream of becoming a doctor. The dream of becoming a doctor and to be looked up to by everybody kept me going. And I was admitted. I wasn't at the top of the list, but I made it in. I was finally at the starting point of making my childhood dream come true. My parents were thrilled. Neither my father nor mother went to college, so they were proud of their son getting into a public medical school. They invited our relatives over to celebrate. Although it was a public university, tuition wasn't cheap. But they still had an extravagant celebration anyway. 2006 VNs are a different breed, they really are. My father didn't express his emotions much. He always kept a straight face. He rarely voiced his opinion or took initiative on anything. My mother took care of everything, and he showed up last and left without saying a word. He was the typical stern and silent Japanese father of the time. That's why I was surprised to see him shedding tears of joy, and I cried along with him. He went around to all my relatives while repeatedly slapping my back, saying how proud and lucky he was to have a son like me. He bragged about my achievements to all who would hear them. The celebration became my farewell party as I was about to leave for Tokyo. My father yelled "Banzai" repeatedly at the station as the train pulled away. I was a little embarrassed, but when I could no longer see my father, I could clearly recall the tears pouring down. The days of hellish studying and exams began after that. Some days I was tempted to just give up and submit myself to the lavish lifestyle of the city. But the letters from my family always encouraged me and gave me the strength to go on. My dream then was to open up my own clinic in my hometown so I could contribute to the region. I never even dreamed of getting involved with brains. One day, I noticed a difference in a letter from my family. The letter said the usual things about how it was at home and asked how I was doing, but the postscript was what caught my attention. Your father has become really violent lately. Sometimes he turns the house upside down and I don't know what to do. I just couldn't picture him acting viciously. I was extremely surprised. Did something happen? But in the postscript, my mother said that there was nothing she could think of. My mother and father had been together for a long time. They'd been together since well before I was born. So she noticed things that I couldn't. She couldn't even think of a reason why my father had become so violent. What happened? They got along so well. They were such a lovely couple. When I caused a problem for my mother when I was little, my father only bonked my head with his knuckle. Why was he acting this way towards my mother? Maybe there was some kind of misunderstanding between them. I was going home for the new year. Maybe I could have a good talk with him then. But the situation was a lot more serious than I'd thought. On one cold winter day, I found my apartment door unlocked. I thought someone had broken in, but I found my mother in my apartment with her luggage. That's right. My mother could no longer take my father's fury and came to stay with me. Parasites! Is he from Hinamizawa? I don't know. This was back when people still believed in the proverb, a woman has no place to settle down all her life. She couldn't go back to her own family because they lived in the same region as my father, so she came all the way to Tokyo. I heard about my father's violence from my mother's own lips. She cried, saying she had no idea why such a quiet man changed like that. She said she wasn't ever going back to him. I didn't know what to do. I asked her if she could talk to him one more time, but the bruises on her body told me it was no use. Remember what happens afterwards is too much, so I'll be brief. After my mother left, my father thought she was having an affair and went over to the neighbor's house with a wooden sword. He was arrested. He was released immediately, but he assumed someone in the neighborhood was hiding her, so he did the same thing repeatedly. He eventually reached the point of getting into fights with anyone he saw. In the end, he picked a fight with some young punks and ended up being beaten to death. My relatives gave my father a decent funeral, but my mother didn't attend. It's no use beating a dead horse. So nobody said anything negative about my father, but everyone was simply puzzled as to why he changed so much. What I heard from my relatives about my father's final days was a lot stranger than what I heard from my mother. My mother only told me about his sudden rage and violence, but my relatives told me that he also laughed and grew sad. Apparently, he displayed several sudden fluctuations of emotion, especially so in his last years. They also told me that he started to complain about headaches after an accident he had. My father was a construction worker. He had hit his head hard on a construction board during an accident at work. That was the worst possible phrase to use. His father dies from getting beaten and now you're comparing him to the proverbial horse. For real. Messed up. He regained his consciousness quickly and seemed fine, but since the accident, he started to have headaches and behave abnormally. I sensed the connection between the accident and my father's changes, so I talked to my professor after I went back to Tokyo. I can't say for certain, but it sounds like it's possible your father suffered some kind of brain damage. There's a chance that blow to his head caused an organic mental disorder. Wow, man gets hit with a board on the head, starts behaving strangely. Oh, I guess it could be brain damage, maybe. Okay, guys. The symptoms your father showed in his final years are similar to the delirium and mental fluctuations we've often seen in similar patients. Human behavior is created by the brain, and if the brain is damaged, it can cause erratic behavior. In other words, my father wasn't crazy. He was suffering from a disorder. If you could perform an autopsy on him, you should check his brain carefully. Maybe you'll find something like a tumor there. My father had already been cremated, so there was no way of knowing. I love when they point out the obvious, trying to come off as big brain. Yeah, like, thanks. It's not like I didn't know that already. But hearing about his behavior, I knew for sure. That was the only way to explain why such a quiet and gentle man would change. I tried to explain all this to my relatives to regain my father's honor, but hardly anyone understood. If his brain was damaged, he would have been dead. But he was alive and well, so the accident didn't damage his brain. It wasn't his brain that caused him to change, it was his mind. They simply brushed it off like that. This is the perception most people have about the brain. They don't realize the mind and the brain are connected. Most of the relatives didn't believe me. People with brain damage can still live, huh? Yeah, I guess these people didn't know that back then? It's kind of weird, though. But there was one person who I really wanted to, anyway. That was my mother. As she got older, she grew senile, and she exaggerated the abuse she had to endure. All she did was criticize my father, and every time she ended up crying, lamenting that she married him. They were a lovely couple. We were a great family. That's why I wanted to convey to her that she was misunderstanding the situation with my father. My father's behavior was caused by his brain damage. What he did to her was very sad, but he didn't want to be that way. I told her that he wasn't at fault. But my mother didn't understand. Before she took her last breaths, I begged her to forgive my father. But her final words were, "Please don't bury me next to that man." My father wasn't at fault. He was simply the victim of a brain disorder. You don't complain to a person who's coughing because he has a cold. Because coughing is just a symptom, and he should be sympathized with. In my father's case, the symptoms weren't as obvious as a cough. They took the forms of changes in his personality, which are much harder to recognize. If I had studied the brain more, I could have explained it better to my mother so that she could have understood him. They could have been a nice couple again in heaven. When I realized that, I cried. And I also realized that there are plenty of people like my father in this world who are suffering from a disorder, yet they're misunderstood and despised for it. And then I found out. I found out about a miraculous cure for such disorders called a lobotomy. Ever since that day, I spent my days learning about the brain so I could help people who are suffering from mental illness. My father is gone, but if he was still alive, I could cure him myself. So he and my mother could reconcile. Congrats, Hiria, you figured out what empathy is. Oh, that's wild. That's the main reason why I'm here. Okay, so we have his motivation now. And then he started doing lobotomies without permission. His purpose on Earth is to give people lobotomies. What a sad existence. Real. Okay. Is that all I have for Idia? Operation Withdrawal. Research hits first snag, but we don't have the other one. Okay. Idia's decision. Okay. Is that all we have for Idia? Really? Huh, okay. Well, in that case... Jiro Tomitake, I guess. The forecast said there was a chance of rain in the evening. We can't deny a man his urge to lobotomize. That's one of the craziest urges ever. But I didn't think it would rain so hard. He decided to wait at an abandoned bus stop for the rain clouds to clear. I'm sorry, Takano-san. Oh, don't be, Jiro-san. I knew it would pour, so don't worry about it. Takano-san giggled. Although she said the weather might change suddenly, I dragged her out here. I feel stupid for making her come along and ending up ruining her precious day off. I have to go back to Tokyo tonight, so it'll be a while before I can return to Hinamizawa. I didn't want to spend my last day at a cheap hotel in Okinomiya, so I asked her to go for a stroll. It's just... I'm really sorry. She teased me for a while, but only a little. She wasn't actually enjoying driving me into a corner. That's just her way of communicating, and I find it very charming. I think I've become captivated by her. But on her part, I'm just an auditor from Tokyo. That's why she's being nice to me, and it's definitely not because she likes me personally. So I feel like I might have used my position to drag her out here, and that makes me a little depressed. I probably should think the slight fever I have is due to nothing more than a cold. But she was the type of person who made it clear when she disliked something. She wouldn't say so directly, but she would use all kinds of indirect expressions that meant the same thing. So I want to believe she's out here because she might be even a little bit attracted to me. He's just really down bad, okay. Shook my head as I frowned upon my selfish thoughts. She chuckled as though she knew what I was thinking. I felt myself starting to go red after that. You're a mysterious person, Jiro-san. I bet women don't leave you alone, huh? So why are you hanging out with a weirdo like me? A weirdo? No way! You're fascinating, Takano-san. Actually, I feel bad making you spend a day with someone like me. The more we learn about him, he's just proving he has no redeeming qualities. He's literally just here to die. Of course. I've decided to devote my life to my work, but life is too dry with only that. I need to switch gears once in a while. Besides, communicating with the opposite sex is good for the brain. It's all good if I manage to help you clear your head. Don't you feel refreshed just being with me? She gives me an impish smile that makes my heart skip a beat. I tried hiding my embarrassment so she wouldn't notice even my ears going red. Of course. When I'm with you, you know, I do feel refreshed. Yeah. Besides, if you learn about avian photography, I'll gain a buddy to share my hobby with. So next time, I'll bring my old camera. It's really expensive to buy a new one, you know. Thank you. I would love to learn about the avian photography that you're so intrigued by. I'm looking forward to joining you on a stroll next time you go. So I don't need to buy a camera, do I? No! Try it with my old camera first, and if you enjoy it, then you can buy one for yourself. I'll send it to you when I get back to Tokyo. Thank you. Then I'll have you critique my photos when you come next time. Sure. I can hardly wait to see them. They'll be nothing compared to yours. It'd be my very first time doing it, you know. While she keeps her cool and smile, all I can do is blush and scratch my head. Am I being conceited? I can't help but think that Takano-san likes being with me. If it's mere flattery, I don't think she'd come along this far. Oh, no. Taking women's flattery seriously is the mistake I always make. I shouldn't assume that she's attracted to me. By the way, isn't this the first time we've been alone like this? Yeah, you're right. Usually the director or some other research staff is around. I don't know anything about you. I don't know exactly what you do in Tokyo or what you've done in the past. I wonder what you do in the self-defense force. I was an instructor for a while, but I was injured and hurt my eye. I can live life normally, but they made a big deal out of it, and ever since, all I do is desk work. Takano-san giggles, saying that I must have done something silly to cause the injury. And while I helped PR with their magazine, I became fascinated by photography. Cameras have the power to make people happy. I bet you don't know what I'm talking about, but it's true. Since I started to take pictures, my life has been a lot happier. How can a camera make someone happy? Well, a camera takes a snapshot of a moment of life. Of course, you want to capture a moment that's filled with happiness, right? So you look for happiness through the viewfinder. And as you search, you realize that your everyday life is actually filled with happiness. For example, a dandelion sprouting from the crack of the asphalt is just a weed in a busy life. But when you look at it through the viewfinder, it's a gift to let you know that spring is approaching. You capture it and put it in an album, and every time you open the album, you remember the happy feeling you had when you took the picture. So, you always feel that way when you take your pictures? Sure. I don't have ambitions of taking artistic photos or capturing a dramatic, prize-winning moment. That's not important to me. I want those moments we don't notice, and helping us recognize those little moments of happiness is the greatest thing about cameras to me. So I'm really glad to be able to see Hinamizawa through my viewfinder. I have a tendency to go overboard when I talk, but most of the time, Takano-san playfully twists my words right back at me. So it's very unusual for her to just listen to me like this. Takano-san sat down next to me and tried to fiddle with my camera. I don't know how much of an impression I made, but I think she is indeed interested in cameras. I was expecting her to tease me like usual, so I'm happy to see that this is her reaction. Do you want to try?
Do you think I can?
It's easy. First, you just need to learn how to focus and press the shutter. Why don't you hold it? Oh, don't ever touch the lens, though.
Phew, this isn't easy.
Since you seem to show an interest in cameras, I wanted to take a walk around Hinamizawa and take some pictures of the scenery. But unfortunately, the rain doesn't seem to want to stop. But she was still having fun and kept taking pictures inside the bus stop. So the first set of pictures she ever took were of odd things in that dark little building. Since then, every time we'd meet, we ended up walking around the village with our cameras in our hands. Okay, but like, is Takano really interested in cameras or does she want to do something with them? I don't know. I don't trust her. We cannot trust her. We have Jiro Tomitake's slight fever. We do have that. That was so... okay. I don't know what she'd do with the camera, though. Yeah, I don't know either, but, like... she's just so sus, you know? Okay, I guess we'll do Satoshi Hojo. When I asked Rika-chan, she said Satoko might have possibly gone up to the mountain behind the shrine. She's fond of going there. That mountain is covered with trees, vines, and fallen logs, and she really likes that area. Any child would dream of having a secret base. And to Satoko, her secret base is the whole mountain. However, the mountains were underdeveloped territory, making them a dangerous place that was easy to get lost in. As her brother, I'm a little concerned that she spends so much time on it. But maybe I should worry more about myself getting lost since I rarely come here. The mountain gets dark quickly when evening falls. If I still can't find her, I should look for her somewhere else. Satoko! Satoko! I'm yelling as loud as I can, but in the woods my voice doesn't carry that well. According to Rika-chan, she's been making her secret base in this area. She goes up there alone to expand it. What does she mean by expand it? If it's a secret base, she must not want anyone to find it. Does that mean she's set up some traps? Considering that, I should have noticed the traps on the mountain before one got me. Wah! Suddenly, my foot sunk into the ground and snagged on something like a jump rope tied beneath dry leaves. I heard some noise from up above, and then a big ball made of branches fell right next to me. It had to be one of the playful traps Satoko loved. If I wasn't so lucky, I'm sure the ball would have hit my head. Playful?
Oh my, look who's here. It's you, Nini.
Satoko! No, this kind of horseplay is dangerous.
Did you not see the sign put up by the Forestry Service? It clearly states that it's dangerous to come into these woods. My wonderful traps will welcome anyone who ignores that warning. Oh ho 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 ho!
As her brother, I should stop her from doing things like this. But when I see her brilliant smile, I can't say anything else. I haven't seen that smile in some time. By the way, Satoko, weren't you told to come home by evening since we're going out for dinner tonight?
I don't want to go. Why don't our mother and father go by themselves? If you want to, you could go with them, Nini.
Still angry at father?
He threw an ashtray at me.
No, that happened with our previous father. I forgot how much I despise when she says Nini, yeah. Our current one hasn't done that.
He locked me out on the veranda. He didn't feed me lunch. He complained I got him the wrong brand of cigarettes and then slapped my face saying I shouldn't be a picky eater. And then...
She isn't talking about our current stepfather. Things about all of our different stepfathers have mixed themselves up in her head. Every time our mother remarried, we had to call a different man our father. The word father isn't a word that should be taken lightly. If you don't truly acknowledge a man as your father, how can you call him that? That's how much weight it carries. However, just to make things smooth and peaceful, I used the word father even if I didn't want to. But it was too difficult for Satoko, young as she was, to do the same. Ever since Satoko was very little, she's been having troubles with all our stepfathers. She's never opened up to our current one. To Satoko, a father figure is no longer someone she can trust. It's true that our current stepfather doesn't have any experience being a parent, so he sometimes gets rather upset with her. But ever since the incident where Satoko called the child abuse hotline, our stepfather regretted his mistakes and tried his best to communicate with her. Even my mother realizes how much Satoko has suffered emotionally when it was pointed out by the social worker. She's doing her part in trying to bring Satoko back into the family. I wonder if Satoko and Satoshi have the same father then, if this happens often. But Satoko completely refuses to even try. It's understandable though. Her childhood has been filled with misery. Satoko can only open up to me. That's why I have to be the one and only family member she can trust. Otherwise, she'll be all alone in this world. But a brother and a sister alone can't be considered a family. Even if we don't get along now, if we continue to communicate, even in a small way, we may be able to become a real family someday. Satoko, our current stepfather is getting nicer. He says he wants to make up with you.
That's news to me.
That's because every time he tries to say something, you run away. He wants to talk to you. He says he won't make you eat pumpkin anymore.
That's a lie! He said I couldn't leave until I ate my pumpkin and he tied me to the chair!
Again, she isn't talking about our current stepfather. Satoko, just come home with me, okay? Mother got a free dinner coupon, and we don't want it to go to waste, do we? We already have the reservation, so we have to go today.
Why don't you go, Nini? I prefer staying home alone.
Satoko doesn't usually stay out playing this late. She knows we're going out, and that's why she's out here alone. Although I want to snap at Satoko, I control myself. Because she only has me. I can't scare her. Please, let's go home, Satoko. You don't have to decide to go out or not right now. You can think about it after we get there. Besides, without your help, I can't find my way down the mountain.
Nini, I've brought you here so many times already, and yet you still haven't learned. What am I going to do with you, Nini?
Satoko holds out her hand. She often says she's embarrassed to hold my hand in front of people, but she's holding out her hand right now. What a brat, literally. I took that hand. Satoko's fragile hand. I have to protect her as her big brother. Let's go home, Satoko.
Sure.
Satoshi is, like I understand where he's coming from, but girls gotta learn. Like, you could be gentle but firm. You don't have to be a pushover. Okay, rock candy I don't have. Awareness of sins, no. Guess Satoko?
My name is Satoko Hojo, but Hojo is my current father's family name. I was also Satoko Hatake, Satoko Yoshizawa, and also Satoko Matsura because of my previous fathers.
He's a pushover to the point he goes missing for a teddy bear, it's true.
I'm still not used to being called Hojo-san. If someone calls me Satoko, then I know that person is talking to me. Because Satoko is the name that I've been using since I was born. I don't understand why my mother keeps getting married and divorced. If she's going to get a divorce, why does she get married? If she's married, why does she get a divorce? I've asked her before, but depending on the situation, her answers are different. When I asked her when she was married, she got angry. When I asked her after she got divorced, she cried. I don't understand the meaning of marriage, so I have no interest in drawing pictures of a bride in a wedding dress. I don't think I'll ever get married. I don't want to keep changing my child's last name. My teacher once asked if I liked my mother. I think that was when I was in kindergarten in Okinomiya. That was a very difficult question. Because sometimes I loved her very much, and sometimes I hated her very much. I couldn't decide. When my mother was nice, she smiled all the time. She made us happy. She thanked me for being her daughter. When my mother wasn't nice, she frowned all the time. She treated my brother and me very poorly. She told me that I should have never been born. My teacher asked me if I liked my father. That was a very easy question, because I always hated him very much, no matter who he was. The new fathers always treated me very nicely at first, as if I was their real daughter. They always told me that I could think of them as my real father. But they couldn't be my real father. Besides, I didn't even know my real father's face.
Don't worry, girl. Soon you won't have any family to complain about besides your uncle. It's so true.
How could I call them my father? I couldn't. That was disgusting. Right before divorce, my fathers always became very irritated with me. They treated me like a cockroach. They told me that they didn't have money to feed me, and they threw things at me, and they locked me out on the veranda. I was told I could forget about them because that was all in the past. I think that was a different teacher from a different school. Maybe that's true. Because ever since Hojo became my father, my mother has been smiling. I haven't seen them get into a fight as I have seen happen just before a divorce. They have little arguments here and there, but those don't lead to a divorce, and they always make up. But I'm sure they'll get a divorce sooner or later. Then it'll be the same old stuff with a family court, divorce settlements, a night flight, and child support. So who knows how long this Hojo will be my father. That's why I don't even feel like calling him that. He also treated me well at first. But when I didn't call him father even after he asked me repeatedly, he got irritated. They'll get a divorce soon. When my father gets into this mood, a divorce is on the way. After a divorce, it's my mother's turn to be irritated with me. Then she'll tell me she shouldn't have had me, or that she can't be happy because of me. Why is my existence causing problems for my mother? I asked my brother and he told me. If you have children, it's not easy to find someone to get married with. To my mother, remarriage is a very important job, so I can understand having children around will cause problems. I think I finally understand the reason why I'm a nuisance to her. I asked my brother something else. Why are children hated by their new fathers? Well, that's simple. That's because family members all have different roles. A mother's job is to love her children. A father's job is to love the mother. That means I'm a nuisance to both my mother and my father.
I can't blame her, but also sees. Yeah. Like, she's been through a lot, but that's not an excuse. But alas. Why is the text pink?
My brother is more mature than me, so they don't look down on him as a nuisance. But maybe I am. No, I definitely am a nuisance.
Give the man a chance, at least.
So now I know. Both my mother and father want me dead. But if they kill me, they'll be caught. But that doesn't mean they won't kill me. If I were to look down the cliff, and if no one was around, my mother and father would push me off for sure. My father's become abnormally nice to me recently. He started to act that way ever since I made the fake call. I know for sure that's just part of the plot to kill me. So I won't let them trick me. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Lately, when I listen very carefully, I can hear a voice apologizing.
Girl, go to therapy? Do they have a therapist in Hinamizawa? I don't think they do.
The voice sounds similar to mine. Her mother must be telling her that she shouldn't have been born. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. But I won't apologize like that. I'll live. I'm going to strike back. I'll kill before I get killed. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Okay, I guess text color means disease. I understand now. We have a repeated apology. Where's the repeated apology? Repetitive apologies, haha. But this seems so ominous. Like, are these ones I'm supposed to not pick?
Oh no.
Satoko is the parasite, it's all coming together. Facts. Okay. I mean, Like, should I do it? It's so... Maybe I should save. Here, wait. Exit this. Save. We're gonna save here. And then connecting fragments. Can you save or would you have to start over? I don't know, so I'm saving. Okay, repetitive apologies. Let's see what this does. Oh, this fragment can't be connected yet. What? But I had... Oh, it's cracked. Oh my goodness. Wait a minute. Okay. Oh, interesting. It's broken. What? Wait, but I had apologies. A live specimen, a tragedy at the dam site. We have to go in some order? I guess so. I guess we'll do more of the first ones then? I want to know about all the characters, I think. We could do the character ones first. Red capsule. Conflict, rock candy. Okay, maybe I guess we'll do this. I don't think we have any character ones left that we can do. So the dam construction will bring in new jobs and revitalize the local industry. That's not what we're saying! Who the hell gave you permission to build a dam here? You squeeze tax money from us and this is what we get in return? Who do you think pays your salaries, huh? Look, we're trying to explain to you. We don't want to hear your excuses. We want to know when you'll stop the construction. You're useless. Bring the Minister of Construction here. He'll get us to the bottom of it. Shut up, you yuppie. Hey, you're paid with our tax money, so why the hell are you talking down to us from up there? Come down here and let's speak face to face. The auditorium is filled with angry shouting. The sign at the entrance says, Hinamizawa Dam Construction Explanatory Meeting. Every time the official on the stage tries to say anything, the citizens packed into the room silenced him with their shouts. Trying to ignore them, the official continued to explain the pros of the dam, but that just further infuriated them. Between the stage and the citizens, there was an open area where the police squad is standing by. If they weren't there, the citizens would jump onto the stage and start a riot. I like the Koopa singing in the background. I'm watching all of this from the back of the auditorium. I wish they'd tell me who's talking. Oh. It's obvious to anyone that they're being swallowed by their anger. They become filled with a bloody red rage. The anger that came from a certain purpose becomes a purpose in itself and creates a vicious cycle where anger leads to more anger. Anger is a necessary emotion for humans. People face many difficulties in their lives. Anger gives them the motivation to fight and conquer such difficulties. Therefore, anger is an essential part of life itself. Are you meant to go page by page like in chronological order? Maybe? Maybe. Does that mean I messed up? So I will never reject anger itself. However, anger like this that goes far beyond normal makes people forget their purpose. That's no longer an essential part of life. As the blood rushes to their head, a person can't even remember what they've done. They go out of control. Such emotions are very painful, sad, and difficult to endure. I can clearly see the villagers who live alongside us turning into demons. I understand the rules of the human world. The power of an individual can't be compared to the power of the government. To be able to fight, an individual needs to become part of a larger, unified power. But to steer that unified power in the right direction is extremely difficult. The cycle of anger leads to more anger. Not anger that helps you live, but anger that exists only for anger. It's just like being a demon. And this emotion is capable of violently rousing us from our long, peaceful slumber. Everyone is immersed in their own anger. On you for democracy, yeah. We lived peacefully with the villagers while we slept quietly. Yet now we've awakened. And it's like the world is trying to return to that age when demons were set to rise from Onikafuchi Swamp. Who is we? Wait a minute, am I missing something? Who is we, Hanyu? I keep shouting at everyone to get them to calm down, but my voice can't reach them because of the vicious cycle of anger. Even so, I'll continue shouting, hoping even one of them will hear my voice. Because if I don't do anything, the demons may awaken. The demons that went into a deep sleep may reawaken because of this commotion. Then, all of a sudden, the atmosphere changed. Looking up, I saw that the angry exchange between the villagers and those on the podium had devolved into a confrontation between the villagers themselves. What's going on? Shut up! Those are your reasons, not ours. Don't pull us into this, you old hag.
Who the hell cares? The hell you say?
Hey! Do you know who you're talking to? This is Oryo-san. You've got some nerve, huh? Who the hell you think you are? Shut up! Sonozaki, so what? I'm a Hojo. Get your goons away from me. Hey, Hojo! How dare you say that you want the village to be submerged? How much are they paying you? Shut up, you old geezer. Listen, there are plenty of poor people in Hinamizawa. Not everyone is rich and has fields all over the mountains like you do. I'm satisfied with the compensation from the government. They've even offered to provide us with public housing. Yet you're ruining everything, you idiots. Don't pretend you're the same as us. If you want to fight with the government, why don't you fight by yourself? Then who's going to pay? You? I'm poor and have 2 kids at home. I was planning to start a new life by leaving here in peace after getting compensation from the government and finding a job elsewhere. But you... Since when did you represent me, huh? Do you think you're that important or what? Hey, Hojo! How dare you betray us? Then get out! Get out of this village! Sure, I'll be happy to. But you're going to pay what I'm entitled to, right? You're going to pay me every yen of the compensation I was going to get from the government. Even if I wanted to leave the village, I don't have the money. If you're going to pay me, I'll leave straight away. Hojo is right. There are plenty of residents who are willing to leave. You 3 families shouldn't drag us into this.
What the hell is this? Who just spoke? Come on, who was it?
If you want to stay, then stay. We have the right to leave, so don't interfere. That's right. Back the hell off, you Sonozaki hag. Of course, we'll compensate the people who support the dam construction plan. We most certainly will not steal the land from you.
Shut up, government dog! Are you trying to divide the village? Die, Hojo! You don't deserve to breathe the village air. Hold your breath and suffocate to death.
Screw you, old hag. I'll murder you. Step up front, you hag. Hey, stay out of this, you fat pig.
Very good. That was very good, Hojo. I haven't been this pissed off in so long. You'll get what you deserve. Look forward to it.
Get him, Hojo! The government has to provide us jobs, shelter, and compensation. Drama real. Hey, stop this violence. All of you, stop it. Stop it.
Like hell. Bring it on. Come and get some.
Everyone is being tainted with the bloody red anger, and I can only watch. The least I could do is to apologize for the tragedy that is about to happen. I'm sorry. This is how things started. From this day onward, the Hojo family and the Sonozaki family will wage a feud against each other, and the Hojo family will become ostracized within the village. This marks the beginning of Satoko and Satoshi's lives of tremendous hardship. Well, we got the conflict. That's crazy. Part-time job, rock candy. Conflict, self-introduction. Okay, wait, we can do this one now. The Hojo family is well known for going against the whole village during the dam conflict. Both the husband and the wife were rather aggressive, and they fought a fierce battle, especially against the Sonozaki family. The people who are for flooding Hinamizawa are strange indeed. For real. Like, even if you get compensation, it's not gonna be, like, that much in the long run, right? Like, look at the size of this house. This is the Hojo family house. It's huge. They're not gonna provide this kind of house for you. Although the whole village treated them coldly, the husband and wife didn't really care and kept on fighting. In a way, they were extremely strong-willed people. I'm sure their children had to go through a lot because of them, though. Satoko-chan and Satoshi-kun were treated coldly by the villagers as well. you move to the city and you're gonna have a cramped apartment for the funds they give you. Exactly. And like things are gonna be so much more expensive, and it's like, ugh, yeah, I don't know. In addition to that, Satoko-chan and her stepfather didn't get along, so their stress levels must have reached their limit. Because I'm the director of— oh, this is Iria, okay. Because I— oh gosh, my voice. What is going on? Because I'm the director of the local clinic, a rather respected member of society, people usually tell me a lot of things. So I was aware of the treatment they were receiving even before I met them. I met Satoshi-kun first. Satoshi-kun came to the clinic because he felt ill from too much stress. He must have thought that he had a cold. When I examined him, he even told me that. But hearing his repeated sighs and by seeing the exhausted look in his eyes, I knew right away that it wasn't just a simple cold. Medication would heal his symptoms, but that would only be a temporary measure. The only way to truly cure it would be to change his living environment. But that was easier said than done. He was surrounded by tangled and complicated relationships with the village and his family, so just resting for a few days and taking some medication wouldn't do. Time was the only thing that could ease off the cold treatment from the villagers. But we were talking a very, very long time. That's why I felt that I had to be their first ally in this village, so that I could rescue them. I couldn't do anything about a stressful environment, but I could try to diminish the anxiety. So I thought the best way was to teach him how to vent his stress, and playing sports is the best way to do that. So I asked him to join the junior baseball team that I coach. As a researcher, I devote most of my time to Hinamizawa syndrome, but I too need to do something else to relax. I used to play baseball, so I decided to coach the local kids' team. After a while, the children of Hinamizawa started their own baseball team, and somehow I became their coach. Doctors can't provide health just by giving medication. You need a sound mind and a sound body. I believe health can be maintained through sports as well. But our team needed more people, so I thought of asking Satoshi-kun to join. Being a bookworm, Satoshi-kun wasn't interested in playing sports. He wasn't sure how joining the baseball team would help his situation. I didn't need to go on and on about the athletic medicine to explain why sports help people become healthy. I just wanted him to experience it himself, to realize how great it feels to play sports. I think he realized it gradually. He was reluctant until the very end, but he attended all of the team activities and games. As I saw Satoshi-kun slowly regaining his liveliness, I realized my plan worked. However, if Satoshi-kun was under that much stress, then Satoko-chan, who lived in the same family climate, must have felt the same way. Unfortunately, I didn't think of her back then. So when Satoko-chan was carried into my clinic as a patient, I regretted doing nothing about her even while knowing the situation. As Satoshi-kun recovered under my guidance, Satoko-chan was left alone in her stressful environment. Also around that time, there was an incident bad enough to make Satoko-chan collapse. That was, of course, her parents' deaths. The day of the Watanagashi festival was a very uncomfortable time for the Hojo family, because, although it was a village festival, it was also a day to celebrate victory over the dam construction project. It's understandable that they would plan a family trip around that time so they could leave the village. Satoko-chan's parents fell off the cliff at the park they were visiting. It happened on such an unlucky day. Because it happened on the day of Watanagashi, people said that it was the curse of Oyashiro-sama, and people labeled the Hojo family as the one that was cursed by Oyashiro-sama. The parents were given the cold shoulder by everyone in the village. So with their parents gone, Satoshi and Satoko should have been freed from that, but, unfortunately, the accident happened on the day of Watanagashi. That's why the members of the Hojo family continued to be shunned. Satoko-chan was the only one who was at the site of the accident. Satoshi-kun didn't go on the trip because he had an event with the baseball team. Therefore, the police mainly interrogated her. The detective, Ooishi, suspected an act of organized crime by the village, so with Satoko-chan as the only witness on site, he drilled her with questions. She was as stressed as Satoshi-kun, perhaps even more, so of course she couldn't take it. During the interrogation, she began to wheeze and gasp for air. The anguished look I saw on Satoko-chan's face when she was carried into the clinic was very, very tragic. It broke my heart just to imagine what she had to go through. Coach, is Sadoko okay? Yes, don't worry. She's a bit confused, but only temporarily, that's all. May I see her? She finally fell asleep, so I'd rather not wake her up just yet. Let's just let her rest for a while. Maybe it's a good idea to have her stay in here for a few days, too. Don't worry. I'll take good care of her. Thank you. I know Satoshi-kun is a great big brother who truly cares about his sister. He empathizes deeply with her, too. In other words, Satoshi-kun's worries and stress were reflecting Satoko-chan herself. Maybe I shouldn't say this, but while Satoshi-kun was, of course, sad about his parents' deaths, he may at the same time have been a little relieved that they were gone. His sister wouldn't have to be driven into a corner anymore. Unlike Satoshi-kun, Satoko-chan didn't have the social skills to get along with her stepfather. So putting her mother aside, I was certain that losing her father, the greatest cause of stress in her life, would bring great change to her home environment. But I couldn't believe what happened next. The two were sent to live in an even worse environment with their aunt and uncle. Although at the time I was rather optimistic, thinking this new environment would be better for the siblings. Dang, okay. What a cliffhanger, for real. Okay, we don't have Satoko's test results. She hasn't refused his visit at the clinic yet. Do we have a bat? I don't know if we have the bat yet. We have the hospitalization of Satoko. I mean, he's a part of the team, right? But I don't know if they're gonna, like, explicitly hand him a bat. I guess we could try. Oh my gosh, okay, wait. Oh no, no! No! Is this like a 3 strikes you're done kind of deal? No! I mean... Let's see. Awareness of sins, no. I guess we have to do the next... this thing. Sorry for being late. I had an unusually large number of patients today. Thank you for coming, Lieutenant Colonel Irie. Tomie? What? Pfft, I can read. Tomitake stood up suddenly and saluted when he saw Irie coming into the room. Alright. Stop calling me Lieutenant Colonel. I'm a doctor. I just can't get used to military ranks. Can you call me Director instead? Understood, Director Irie. Tomitake, of course, knew that Irie didn't like to be called Lieutenant Colonel, so it was something of a joke. They laughed casually together. On the other hand, Takano looked rather fed up with it. She couldn't stand hearing the same joke over and over, and was even thinking about talking to Tomitake about it. But she didn't want to hurt his feelings, so she simply never had the chance. Maybe it's because of how Tomitake pronounces it, but she keeps hearing Risa. Lieutenant Colonel in Japanese is Nisa, okay? When she heard it that way, she kept hearing Irie Risa every time Tomitake said it. When Takano told Irie about it, he had a good laugh. Today was just a simple meet and greet, and tomorrow was the actual meeting. Tomitake had already arrived, but there would be more inspectors from Tokyo at the meeting, waiting to hear about the progress that had been made. Anyway, I've heard the whole village is all up in arms about the dam construction project. You could say that again. The village is in such a mess. I participated in the local municipal explanation meeting as an official, but the whole thing was alive with angry shouts and profanities. After the basic Hinamizawa Dam project was announced, the village was consumed with uproar. The government retracted their plans for concessions rather early on. They made their aggressive stance clear. They didn't want the locals to take advantage of them by showing their willingness to compromise. However, that backfired horribly. As they had historical ties to the land, the government's actions only made their bonds stronger. Neither the government nor the locals wanted to back down. People from Hinamizawa are rather hot-tempered. Maybe because they're the descendants of demons. It's not funny. That wild meeting lasted all night. I feel your pain. Really, it's not funny, Tomitake-san. So what is going on with the dam construction? Are they really going to submerge the village? Tokyo's applying their pressure to the situation too. Things might seem clamorous on the surface, but in truth, the supporters behind it are wavering rather hard. Hope their pressure produces results soon. The whole village is buzzing with action from dusk to dawn, and I worry the villagers' minds are growing agitated. Sometimes I have to listen to my patients go on and on about their opinion on the dam construction plan. Oh my gosh, Iria is the therapist. Why do you even listen to them? You're too nice. I have to. I'm a clinic director first, and research center director second. It's part of my job to listen to them. That's very nice of you. It's admirable. I know the people in Tokyo will call off the plan sooner or later, but the villagers don't. So they have to live in fear that they might be forced to leave the land where they've lived for generations. Even if they're told to leave, they don't have money and a lot of them are old. Mr. Lobotomy giving therapy to people doesn't seem right. It really doesn't. Maybe some wanted an increase in the amount of compensation they'd be offered, but the government changed its mind. I don't think it's possible for them to come to a peaceful agreement at this point. There were actually some villagers who were satisfied with that amount and were willing to leave. However, the Sonosaki family didn't want to change their stance against the issue. They're actually leading the villagers in the fight against the government. There are blaring announcement vans everywhere, and ads and flyers are attached to the circulation notices. It's a serious matter for them. I guess I can understand. I hope the construction plan will be called off soon, for their sake. Once it's called off, this village will become peaceful once again. I know that, of course. Things are moving right along in Tokyo, so please give us a little more time. I've heard a rumor from Tokyo that you're having problems finding a way to pressure the Minister of Construction. Is that true? Oh. I'm not sure, but I've heard myself that they're having a little problem with some of the details. Takano had powerful people supporting her, but they didn't control all of Japan. There were some things they excelled in, but other things that they weren't too good at. Finding a way to put pressure onto the Minister of Construction fell into the latter. In all seriousness, though, we really won't be facing any requests to leave this area because of the dam, right? Of course not. I can guarantee that won't happen. It's just taking longer than we thought, that's all, so please continue your research. We were told that if things can't be resolved peacefully, then we may have to use drastic measures. Drastic measures? What do you mean, Tomitake-san? You don't need to worry about that part, Director Irie. Please let us take care of it. I see. Okay. Thank you for your work. It's fine, Director Irie. The dam construction plan will be called off. It's already been decided. As Takano giggled, Tomitake laughed too. However, Irie couldn't understand what was so funny, so he felt left out. Irie only understood the meaning of those drastic measures when he examined a young boy he had never seen in the village before. It's the kidnapping! We got the kidnapping! Does it tell you what you get? I don't think it tells us, but that's what they mean. Because, I don't remember which chapter it was, but Irie, checked up on this kid that they found in the woods somewhere, and it was the minister's grandson that had gotten kidnapped. Oh, but I don't know if we have the instructions, though. Probably not, yeah. What can we do? Don't risk the cracks, yeah. Prior consent, nope. Koizumi Sensei, nope. 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 Shopping trip, rock candy, part-time job, some sins. Soul strawberry. Oh wait, conflict. Okay. I assume this is Rika.
I ran into Sadoko while on my way to the grocery store for my mother. Sadoko said she was going there too, so we decided to go together. After exchanging our shopping lists, it became easy to guess what the other family would be having for dinner. Satoko's family is having grilled fish and cooked vegetables. We're having Salisbury steak. My, that sounds so very good. I don't mind the grilled fish, but it's the vegetables I'm less fond of. I'm certain there's still plenty of pumpkin left from the other day. Then I bet you'll be getting a lot tonight. Poor Sadoko. I don't appreciate knowing that pumpkin is going to show up on the dinner table. Beep. You don't like pumpkin no matter how it shows up. Rika, you have some food you're not fond of, don't you? That's right, you don't like daifuku, cream puffs, or anything sweet, do you? It's not that I don't like those things. I just choose not to eat them. If I wanted to, I could eat sweets forever. I could even eat pumpkin pie too. Nipa. Ooh, it's not fair that you're not a picky eater. Conversations like this are how I have fun. Sadoko is my best friend. I don't usually like grocery shopping, but if I'm with Sadoko, I can make it into an enjoyable evening stroll. Near the supermarket, there's a grocer's and other shops forming a little shopping district. The grocery store is busy this time of day. All the housewives in Hinamizawa gather here to shop. Since Sadoko and I have different things to buy, we decide to do our shopping separately.
Welcome. Oh, Rika-chama. Are you shopping for your mother? What a good girl.
Ipa. I'm a good girl who can go shopping by herself.
Wow, you really are a good girl. Here, I'll give you this.
There were several candies for the owner's occasional asthma attack inside a sieve full of change hanging in the front. He picked out a sweet from there and gave it to me. It was my favorite flavor, strawberry milk. I put it in my pocket so I could brag about it to Satoko later. I get a lot of fun out of teasing Satoko and making her jealous. She always overreacts, so I never get bored when I'm with her.
What are you having for dinner tonight, Rika-chama? Ground pork.
Making Salisbury steak. We're going to put flower-shaped fried eggs on top and draw pictures on them with ketchup.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
I enjoyed that conversation while filling my shopping basket. But then I overheard some women whispering. They're talking about something that's a little harsh. They're talking about Sadoko.
How long do those village traders plan to stay here? They should just leave. They don't even have the guts to go shopping themselves and make their daughter do it instead.
The women went on and on. Ever since the Hojo family and the Sonozaki family got into a huge fight at the explanatory meeting for the dam project, the Hojo family's been ostracized within the village. At first, there were a significant number of families in favor of leaving the Hojos. The main branch of the Sonozakis led a push to
leave with the Hojos. Right. Oh, leaving like the Hojos, okay.
But the main branch of the Sonozakis led a push to completely solidify the village's opinion, and as the tone of unified resistance grew stronger, the pro-evacuation families steadily grew quiet. The public harassment led by the Sonozakis and Kimiyoshis, two of the three families with powerful influence on the village, also played an effect too. The Sonozaki family made the Hojo family into an example to ensure there would be no more pro-evacuation supporters. The ancestors of the village have lived here for generations, and the villagers also know that they themselves will be buried in the village, so this harassment put a lot of pressure on them. Who was it that agreed to make the Hojo family the leader of the pro-evacuation group at the explanatory meeting? Those same people no longer said anything, and they even joined in on harassing the Hojo family. The harassment they faced then became pressure from the entire village. The Hojo family is hardly wealthy, and they haven't paid the town council fees in a long time. When things were peaceful, nobody said anything about it. Now that the wind was blowing in a different way, the Hojo family was asked to pay off all of their late council fees immediately. It wasn't an amount they could afford, but the Hojos recognized a fight was being picked with them and they responded to it. And so, the Hojo family quit the town council. But that only played right into the village's evil plan. Making an enemy of the town council meant facing vicious harassment. For example, the place the Hojos dumped their trash was a provisional dumping site established by the town council and the waste management department. Under the council agreement, only council members could use it. Ever since the day the Hojo family quit the village council, their trash bags were returned to their front door. Furthermore, all the bags were torn. On top of that, a sign went up on the hedgerow near the Hojo family. It said private road, no trespassing. Only council members permitted. A stubborn old man stood and guarded the road, saying that he would not let any of the Hojo family members pass through. A private road is private property opened up to the public, so it looked just like a normal road. However, as private property, the owner can forbid anyone else to pass through whenever they like. More and more, the village piled on vicious harassment. The fear of antagonism spread through the entire village, and people became afraid that if they supported the Hojo family, they'd go through the same thing. This has made the Hojo family even more isolated. The grown-ups haven't told their kids about what's going on, so Satoko isn't harassed in any way at school. But it wasn't hard to imagine she probably spent her days feeling so anxious she could hardly breathe. Even the women whispering in here aren't saying things directly to Satoko. But it's not like she doesn't notice their muttering and the cold stares. When did this village become so cold towards her? As her best friend, it's very sad for me. Satoko's shopping experience is nothing like mine. When I say hello or buy things, I usually get treats or a discount, but that doesn't happen to Satoko. On the contrary, she's served last on purpose, and sometimes shop owners even pretend they don't hear her. Obviously, people don't want to have anything to do with her. Satoko had been weaving through the housewives crowding the shop, telling the fishmonger what she wanted, but she kept getting ignored. She's decided to keep her smile and pretend she doesn't mind, but I know. It was far too painful for her to endure. At that point, Satoko dropped her coins to the ground. Maybe her finger got stuck on something when she was trying to put the change back into her wallet. I ran through the crowd to help her pick them up. But as I did, I noticed something. Satoko dropped a lot of coins and is struggling to pick all of them up, but nobody's helping her. It's not just that. It's almost like they're acting like they don't even see her there. Satoko isn't expecting anyone to help her since she's the one who dropped them. But there are so many people around, and not even one is trying to aid her. Satoko, I'll help you. I'm okay, Rika. That reaction is all I need to tell how hurt she is. Furthermore, when I started to help Satoko, other housewives started to pick up the coins too, as if it's the natural thing to do. The friendship begins, true. So they can only help if a shrine maiden of the Furude family does? If I didn't help, they would have disregarded her completely. And the fact that other people helped only because I did hurt Satoko even more. I grabbed the coins from the housewives without thanking them. I'd rather spit at them than do that. Thank you very much, Rika. Everyone? If she didn't thank them, people would talk about that too. Satoko forced out her words of gratitude. The housewives looked down at her with blank expressions. I can't stand this. I can't stand what Satoko is going through right now. If we're done, let's go, Satoko. Sure. I grabbed Satoko's arm and pulled her away. I was frustrated, sad, and bitter. What has Satoko done? Reality is just too cruel. Everyone loves me, but can I share that love with Satoko? Satoko must be wondering why people treat me so differently. I shouldn't come shopping with her, but rather, I should have done her shopping instead. Satoko. What is it, Rika? feel bad that you dropped your coins, so here's something that'll make you happy. I wanted to at least ease her pain a little bit, so I pulled out the strawberry milk candy I just received. But Sadako refused to take it. That candy was given to you. My hand froze. She saw me getting this candy. That person wanted you to eat it, so if I did, it'd be rude. Sadako turned her back on me and kept walking. Without even saying goodbye, she continued on to her house with the shopping bags in her hands. I only wanted to ease her pain. I ended up rubbing salt in her wound. How can I call myself her best friend? If I could, I would have crushed the candy right there.
Okay, I think that's enough Higurashi for today. My voice is about to give out. I know it's a little early, but I think I might just end it here. Lots of talking, yeah. I'm struggling. That's really interesting though. I like this. I'm excited to see more. Alright, I'm gonna send out a raid. So if you guys want to stick around for that, awesome. Not, that is okay too. Yeah, thank you for coming. Let's see. Alright, we're gonna raid into Bat Fluffs. They are streaming Undertale, I think. So, if you want to stick around for that, awesome. If not, that's okay. Thank you guys so much for coming. Hopefully I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!